Welcome to the Tosa Village Classic. This is the final day of Tour of America's Dairylands, and it is a wild course. You can see down on the bottom left there, kind of a B-shaped. I'm just gonna start blasting from the gun here. It's a hard course. We got an uphill, pretty much right out of the gun. So onto the brick section. It transitions out of brick into the first corner. Nice little technical, like bottleneck, little narrowing there. Then another narrowing into the beginning of the uphill, which is short. I think like total time going uphill is maybe 20 seconds here. But then you round this corner and you have a nice like downhill into the most consequential turn, this left-hand turn here. Last year, Liam Bartman binned in on this. In the women's race right before, there was also a huge crash there. I actually love that turn and got like a pretty good gap into it, that corner, over the field. So just kept rolling it. Eventually got caught, and Mido Q Rider attacked around me. So about 10-12 minutes later, we're continuing to race, and it is splitting up as it does on this course. Usually this course there will be like a bunch of mini breakaways and nothing will really stick, but it makes the race super hard and people just fall off the back the whole time. So that tends to be the race. There usually is not a lot of finishers just because it's so hard. They call plenty of preems. I am on Ryan Gorman's wheel here for a preem, and I'm just going to follow it. It's a $200 preem. I'm not super interested in it, and I know Gorman's got a better kick than I do, so he is going to do that thing, and I am just going to take this free ride off the front into my own little attack. So Ryan gets 200 bucks. I roll right on through, and I'm going to go solo up the hill, so I keep the power on the pedals. You can see crowds are deep in this course, and there is so much yelling, especially on the start-finish straight. It is a pretty cool little race that Tosa has hosted. I am keeping the pressure on the pedals, and I stayed away for roughly 2 laps before getting caught. Roughly a lap. It felt like a while. I got a preem for $200, and then Evan Boyle attacked right over the top of me into the downhill section, so I am just gonna float back a bit. I'm pretty gassed, so float back as little as possible on this course, because the farther back you get, it actually gets a lot harder. Especially the last corner, you just have riders that go super slow out of it and then sprint to get on the wheel, and it hurts. 15, 12, 20 minutes into this race, it starts to rain. We didn't know that was gonna happen, but it's going to start getting real weird once the rain comes down, and I am just going to stay as far forward as I possibly can while this rain's coming down. You can see how much paint is on this course, and once paint gets rain on it, it gets super unpredictable. So we got, I think James there had just done a little move, just done a little attack to kind of bring me back. He's rolling back off, and it's getting real. The rain's coming down. You can see a rider off the front there. Dusan here, I believe, is going to take this corner real easy. It's got paint in it. It's already an off-camber, weird corner. This whole first lap, he was being super cautious around the paint corners, and so cautious, in fact, that we just, like, lost a bunch of space. And I had just done that attack off the front, so my legs were pretty torched, but not torched enough to want to quit the race yet. So I did a little burn here and looked back, and there's not a lot of dudes. Like, most people have also been gapped off by someone back there. So I do a pretty hard burn, and then Fetzer was actually on my wheel. So Luke came around, and there's another little crash there. Looks like Luca Haynes. So we're catching back up. You can see Evan Boyle there, caught up in that little incident too, just rolling back, and this is a lap later, almost half a lap later, and we're still trying to catch up. Fetzer eventually pulled us back into a little smaller group on our wheel. Ben Oliver, series leader, He must have caught up as well, and he's just going to help us blow through this group here because different people are just falling off the back of that front group of like 8, 9. You can see Keegan on the left there working pretty hard. There's Tim on the right, and we still have to catch up to these guys up off the front. So Ben's going to do a pretty hard pull. You can see my Insta360's having trouble with the rain droplets on the double lenses, but Ben is not having trouble with these corners, and he was rolling real fast to get us up and in there. Eventually we caught up, and we're going to roll with the group here. These little gaps would form again. Luke Haynes had just crashed that last corner, so he was much more careful with it that time around, but that meant that a gap opened up, so I'm going to have to close that gap yet again. I did like this corner here because you could kind of just pedal on through it even in the rain. There was a lot of manhole covers on course, and you'd hit them and you just completely lose traction. It's going to be a theme later. Manhole covers are very slippery in the rain, so once you hit them, you better just hang on. This last corner was pretty tricky also. The paint was grippier than most of the other paint, but here in the second corner we have 2 riders going down. Cade Bickmore from Project Echelon and Patrick Welch from ABC. Patrick must have just gone a little too hard through that corner, hip brake or something, and just slid out. Cade was trying to respond, and he also binned it. So we got guys going down all over this course. I'm back on Ben Oliver's wheel. We're back into a reduced little bunch. Here on the inside, Stephen Bassett sends a flyer, and I know that it's dangerous. It's the first time he's attacked, I believe, this whole race. Here with 40 minutes to go, so we're over halfway through, and I'm going to do my best just to get onto this wheel. I know this corner is one of my strengths, so I'm going to try and use that to catch back up to him. Take the inside line onto the curb there and start pedaling real early. Eventually on this downhill, I think he waited up for me a little bit after our little breakaway the few days before he knew I'd work with him, although I was cracked. So I was doing a little pull on the start-finish straight here, flicking him through really early, and he actually took the uphill, which was a little harder for me, but that was all right. And eventually we would get caught. We were off the front for like 5 laps. You can see Ben Oliver, his teammates, Mido Q, actually ended up pulling us back, and then on the left there, Fetzer just sent like a really well-timed attack, which you might not have been able to see through the rain there. Eventually, he was brought back by the Mido Q team. Here I am, dive bombing Burgoyne a little bit. He wasn't having it. I actually had to check brake there and lost some momentum, but came through that corner all right. So kept pedaling on through. We are roughly 8 laps to go, and I'm cracked. You can see on the left, my power meter was also cracked. The stage's power meters sometimes tend to malfunction when they get rain in them, so we're not gonna look at power anymore. It said I averaged like 680 for the whole race, so that's not correct. We'll go off heart rate. We're continuing to race this. You can see I took my nice little inside line there, was able to get a little more momentum into this downhill, and now I'm moving up. I'm starting to feel a little more recovered, but man, I think I bonked during this race actually. It ended up being like 120 minutes. I think they started giving us lap times with the estimated time from our dry laps, and then we just started going slower, so it ended up being a longer race than expected, and it just kept pouring. There was like on and off rain. It got real rainy, and then it looked like it was about to dry up, and it was dump again. A little bit farther in, we've got 5.5 minutes to go, and we are rolling through. You can see off the front, Project Echelon's Colby Lang had sent a flyer. I don't know when he sent this. It was probably like 10 minutes ago, maybe like 5 laps to go. Just a random guess there, but Mido Q put their whole train on the front to try and bring Colby back, and he was out there for quite a minute with all his aero gear. Colby has got the time trial helmet in a criterium, which, if you're off the front, makes a lot of sense, regardless of appearances. Last lap, and it's getting pretty wild. Everybody has been spending a lot of energy. Like 2 laps to go, people were really trying to position hard. I saved all my energy to try and move up on this last lap, because the year before, there was like a crash I think I got held up on, and I passed like 30 people into it. You can see up through the front here. Brody, I think, hit one of the manhole covers, or maybe just some paint, and lost the rear end of his bike. Just binned it last lap. Brody was like second overall too, and within striking distance of Ben Oliver, but that would definitely affect his overall. I'm just gonna continue racing. You can see we've got maybe 7, 8 guys in front of me, so I've moved up pretty decently, and I'm just gonna hold my spot as much as I can. I am totally bonked at this point. I feel terrible. I feel tired. I want a nap. But we just got to finish the race. You can see I actually accidentally left a little gap go. I knew in this next corner I could close it down a little bit just if I kept on pedaling. Steven Bassett there getting a little chopped into that corner, so I'm sending it around him. Mito Q Rider having just finished his lead out, pulling off. So I'm coming through the start finish, maybe 8th wheel, 9th wheel. And we're gonna kick as hard as we can. It's a like long start finish stretch, but you come out of that corner and you've just gotta pour on the watts. So hoping I can get around a rider or two, get around this rider from I think Cervelo Orange Living cross team, and come through the finish in I believe 7th place. I think I passed Marshall there. Lucas Burgoyne won. I believe it was Ben Oliver in 2nd, and then Luke Fetzer in 3rd. Pretty good series. Ben Oliver ended up taking the win of the series, I think, followed by Lucas and then maybe Brody. I was 5th overall. I'd like to thank Tour of America's Dairylands for having me out. It's been a blast. Everybody in the Milwaukee, Wisconsin area, super welcoming. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.